People with ADHD have trouble grieving. If you have ADHD, you are fucked emotional wise. You are fucked with trauma. You are fucked with grieving because you don't grieve like everybody else, and it doesn't make any sense. Somebody can die. Your mom can die. Your dad can die. A family member can die, and you don't miss them like everybody else. And it makes us feel weird. Like, why aren't we crying like everybody else? Why are we almost laughing and we're just carrying on like normal? And these people are devastated because our brain isn't comprehending it. Now, it has happened. Our brain does comprehend it. Our brain then pushes it to the back. It does not create any dopamine, and now we are dopamine searching. So we're going to actually look for something that is engaging for our brain rather than this event that just happened. Now, the problem with this is this event happens. Sometimes it can be very traumatic, cause trauma for us, that now we have unaddressed, unhealed trauma that we are ignoring that's there that will start self-sabotaging us and will start actually affecting us on a daily basis. But we don't realize that because our brain is always looking for dopamine. It's on a dopamine search. And when it finds certain things and certain activities that we really enjoy, we're going to focus in on those. But the problem is all of that trauma, grief, and loss is all still there, and we haven't addressed it at all. And that's where it's so important to realize that we don't grieve the same, and that's okay. It's okay not to grieve the same as everybody else. What you need to do, though, is when you do lose people in your life or things that are very traumatic, because we're smart enough to know this was a traumatic event or a very big loss event, is going to a therapist and handling that trauma with them. That is key, because a lot of times otherwise what happens with ADHD is we can actually go to addiction to heal our trauma or to try and fix our trauma, because that helps the dopamine and it helps us forget all that trauma. And that's one of the easy ways that we are led to addiction when it comes to ADHD, and people do not realize that. I was diagnosed with ADD at 13, re-diagnosed with ADHD at 17. And ADHD is an excuse to be an addict. It's not an excuse for any of this. But what it is something that you need to learn from, and you have to also understand. And that's why it is so important. And a lot of people do not realize this. And so if you do struggle with grief, finding a grief therapist is key.